long time no see. Today we're gonna do something I've been wanting to do for a long time, which is open my Christmas gift from almost 6 months ago now. I asked for this Jelly Gouache. I thought this stuff was so cool when it first got popular a few years ago, and now they have the kind of pans where it's a double color. You're gonna find out pretty soon. I don't know anything about gouache. I know what it's supposed to be in theory, and that's really about it. How hard can it be, right? Like famous last words. I think I watched one video of someone else opening these, and that's about it. So if you are like a gouache expert and this is gonna make you so annoyed, I do apologize. I have tried watercolor in this sketchbook before. It's a Royal Talons one. I always have it linked down below because I do love it, but it, in my opinion, is really bad with watercolor. I'm hoping that it takes gouache well, but if the painting doesn't turn out well, I'm fully 100% gonna blame my sketchbook and not me at all. These are so cute. I'm just obsessed with this purple color lately. I did see the one woman I saw open this was saying that they are annoyingly difficult to peel open. Let's see. Oh no, here comes the thing where I'm like kind of colorblind when it comes to purple and blue, because now I'm not gonna know which order to put this in. Like this, I think? Oh man, I don't know. Pretty sure this one is darker than that one, so we're gonna put that there. Okay, this is... I know that everyone like loves this content. This freaking sucks. I'm not even gonna be playing right now, this sucks. You just gotta find which corner is a traitor to the others, and then you can get it off. I know a lot of people are gonna be mad that I'm not scraping the paint off of the top of these things to put it back in the little well, but let me tell you something. This is already getting all over my hands as it is. I'm not playing with fate any more than that. Oh, okay. All I'm really trying to do is not absolutely throw it. I've been having this thing where my hands have been shaking a lot recently, and obviously that's been affecting my art practice quite a bit. At first, when they started shaking a lot, I just stopped drawing because it would really get on my nerves when I couldn't get, like, you know, the line I'm trying to get. I'm gonna go ahead and assume that yuckiness will go away once I start it or something. So at first I stopped drawing and then it wouldn't go away, and I was just like, you know, I don't know how long I am going to have my hands be shaky, and I really enjoy drawing and I try not to be a perfectionist with my artwork anyway. So I was like, you know what, forget it. I don't care if my lines are shaky. I miss drawing. I'm gonna go back to it. And I actually have been able to fill out most of the remaining pages of my sketchbook now, which has been awesome. It really helps to draw really large too, which I'm lucky because this sketchbook definitely lets me do that. The next sketchbook I'm gonna start isn't as large, so I'm a little bit nervous about that, but you know what? I just don't care. I think it's more important that I'm drawing just because I enjoy it, and I think that's way more important than it being exactly how I pictured it when I'm done. Oh, this is my favorite one right here. Look how pretty. My two favorite colors together. There we go. We finally have all of this open now. It is so pretty. Obviously there's some like weird grossness oil up in there, but I think that it'll go away once I stir it. So just with the straight paint, let's see how it feels. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. That is an awesome texture. I think I'm gonna have to switch gears here and actually stir all of these colors, because doing this every time I want to switch a color is gonna be really annoying. Let's see if it's going over on the other page. No, it's like warping the page a little bit, but that's fine. I'm not worried about that. I'm not going to lie, guys, stirring these paints took absolutely forever and was incredibly messy, and it was really satisfying because once you were done stirring it, the paint was all nice and smooth. But by the time I was done stirring the very last color, the original colors had kind of started to dry on top, which I really didn't like. The first couple pages, I just completely messed around with the paint. At first, you heard me say that when I tried the texture out, just straight from the pan onto the paper, the texture is pretty amazing. It
Saying it's buttery is not even a good description for this. It just feels nice to paint with. It really does. And straight from the pan, the colors are pretty opaque. As long as you don't press too hard with the brush, you don't like see the color underneath it all. And so I did really like that, but I will say that one dip of the paint doesn't go very far. So once I started working on my actual pieces here, I definitely had to water down the paint every single time just to like make the color go a bit farther. But I didn't really care about that too much. I mean, that's just kind of something you do with paint. You almost never paint directly from the source. But if you were like me, I kind of assumed that the Jelly Gouache wells would be able to be painted directly from the source, and I guess they are, but it's not the main way you're going to want to paint, which I think is actually better because when you look at the wells and think, okay, if I was only going to paint with this and not dilute it with water at all, that's not much paint at all, but since you dilute it, it goes so much farther, and then I wasn't as worried about using a lot of one color, for example. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I am a complete noob when it comes to gouache. I have never tried it before, and I know what it's supposed to be. I know it's supposed to be basically like an opaque watercolor that can still be activated with water like at any point, and so you really can't do very many layers. And I mean, I really enjoyed it though, even despite not being able to do a lot of layers. Let me rephrase. You can't do a lot of layers if you're going to water down the paint quite a bit on an upper layer. So if you want to really use a lot of water, or if you want to use a scrubbing motion for a specific texture, then you definitely need to try to do that layer first, because doing it later is going to really start like mixing with the colors underneath, or it's going to start picking the colors up underneath, which can be annoying. But I also think that if you practice with it for a while, you can probably get some cool effects doing that also. So, you know, to each their own, I suppose. I'm not really much of a painter. I don't paint very often. Normally I like things like acrylic markers or colored pencils or just non-wet media, I guess, or I like Copic markers, for example. Paint I find to be pretty tedious, but I also really like the texture that you get with paint. So it's paint and I have a strange love-hate relationship, I think, because I just get a little bit lazy. I do. I get tired. Like, okay, if I mix a certain color that I want and I need just a little bit more of that color, I do not enjoy the mixing process to mix that color again. I find that aggravating. I don't really like mixing colors if I can avoid it, but I never can because mixing colors is really part of the painting process. And I just get kind of frustrated, I think. I also, you'll see throughout the video that I add these like large ergonomic grippers to all of my paintbrushes. That's the thing too, is that why do they make paintbrushes so skinny? Like, so someone that is a painter, like, maybe there's a reason. I do not understand why they are so skinny. Some paintbrushes, really a lot of them, are skinnier than a pencil would be, and I find them so uncomfortable to hold. And paint takes a long time to dry, so you're holding them for a really long time, like you're doing multiple layers. And so I got these ergonomic grippers. I always have them linked down below because a few of you have asked me before how to help with wrist pain, because I have a lot of wrist pain and these have really helped me a lot. They don't totally fit over the paintbrushes, like especially not the ones that are really skinny. You kind of have to squeeze them as you work, which I still found a little bit frustrating, but it was certainly more comfortable than holding a very skinny paintbrush the entire time. This video isn't so much of a review of actual Jelly Gouache as it is just me talking about my experience trying it for the first time. I know that this stuff has been reviewed about a million times and certainly has been reviewed by people that actually know what they're talking about when it comes to gouache. I'm just here to chat and paint. I've been wanting to paint some landscapes for a long time now. I've tried it a few times with my acrylic markers. If you've seen my sketchbook tours, you'll see that I've done a few landscapes with my acrylic markers, but there's just something about a paintbrush texture in a landscape that I think is so pretty. So I really wanted to try to do it with actual paint. And honestly, I really do like this paint a lot. I find it far more enjoyable than acrylic paint, like far more enjoyable. The texture is like kind of similar. Obviously, it's a lot more similar to acrylic paint than it is to straight watercolor unless you've got it watered down. And I really didn't water down the paint much here because this sketchbook really doesn't accept water very well, in my opinion. Some people say it does, some people say it doesn't. I'm in the boat of it really doesn't. But anyway, I do like this paint a lot more than acrylic. I find that it is so much more forgivable. If there was a spot that I didn't like, I really could fiddle with it a little bit more and water it down a little bit to kind of move it. Or there was even, if you really didn't like where you painted something, you could get water on your brush and just scrub it and completely dilute that color on the page. I didn't have to do that luckily with my landscapes, but that is something you could do, and I really enjoy having a little bit of leeway when it comes to my supplies. So being able to choose the opacity really is probably the best thing there is about gouache, and I will definitely be using this again. Let's talk about the paintings that I did. First of all, the top one is just like a normal landscape. The bottom one is supposed to be, I think they're geese, like in this lavender field or something. And I got completely overwhelmed and lost in the lavender, okay? I don't totally love the strategy I went for. I think that it made everything look like kind of a mess. I think you can tell that I got lost in the lavender field and kind of got lost in what I was doing. I started by painting the lavender that was around the bodies of the geese specifically. I think that I just thought that that made the most sense because I could kind of figure out where their silhouettes were in the sketch and I could frame them with the lavender. But going back now, I think that what I should have done is I should have worked from all the way in the back forward. That way the lavender in the front was laying properly in front of the lavender that's planted behind it, if that makes sense. Whereas when I kind of started from the middle and then I went to the foreground and then I went to the background and tried to meet all of those depths together, I just started to get confused, and I started to kind of like not see where the stems were supposed to be and not see where certain flowers were supposed to be. And then I felt like, the field kind of looked disjointed. And so I really had to work on that some more. You'll see me fiddle with it later. The top landscape was easier. It definitely was more forgiving in just this subject matter, but I also don't think you can totally tell what it is. The like orangey yellow is supposed to be flowers, but they do kind of look like a popcorn field or something like that. In my painting, they look a lot fluffier than they are in the actual reference photo, and then I don't know, I think it's pretty, but you don't know what you're looking at. You know what I mean? And that's fine. I do like the way I did the clouds, though. I like the little specks of clouds I put, but I figured out shortly after starting this that I could not get very tiny details with the paint. And not because no one can, but just because I can't. I am not used to painting even nearly enough to be able to get the tiniest tiny details. Plus my hands have been shaking, which I mentioned at the beginning of the video. So I switched to my acrylic paints near the end. I was about 3/4 of the way done with the painting when I switched to my acrylic markers. And luckily my lavender marker was a perfect match to the lavender that was in, or lilac. Oh, I'm not sure which color that is. Lavender or lilac, I'm not sure. Whatever, the purple, the light purple. It matched it perfectly from the gouache set. So then I was messing with the geese painting again, trying to find the lavender, trying to figure out where the shapes were, and trying to make the field basically look more together. I didn't really want it to look like each stem of lavender was totally separate from the other, because that's not really how this works. That's not really how like fields of flowers look, but I could not figure it out. I was just completely lost. And you can see that I then started to shade the lavender in the front before I started shading the lavender in the back. And I think I should have worked from back to front, and certainly not front to back, because as I was working backwards, I'm just getting kind of lost. I ended up adding some green to try to show where the stems were, but I was kind of losing where the stems were supposed to be. So I don't love how the painting on the bottom came out. I think that you can tell what it is, but I think that it was a learning experience for me, and I think that I could probably do it better in the future, which does kind of tempt me to try it, because I also really love lavender plants. I sketch them all the time, I draw them all the time, so that's why. And I really love birds, so this reference photo was really perfect for me. So I am kind of frustrated that it didn't come out as nice as I wanted it to, but that's just a challenge to try again in the future, you know what I mean? I tried to add some different shades of purple in with the acrylic markers. I definitely could have been doing this part with the gouache if I wanted to, but I was getting so lost that I just tried to switch to a medium that I was more comfortable with, because I was really just making everything look really muddy. And I realized too that I had covered up way too much of the grass, so I was trying to add more green in the background, but then I was lost. I think maybe I should have considered starting over, like just painting over the background green again and starting from scratch, but maybe that wasn't the answer though, because that would have been a lot of paint under the gouache, and I don't think gouache is supposed to accept like that many layers, because I think that eventually you're going to start picking up colors from the layers that are underneath it. So, whatever. It was a learning experience, and it was enjoyable regardless. I did have fun even when I was lost in the lavender plants. There's worse things to be lost in, okay? It's fine. I did feel like a little bit of a cheater, I'm not gonna lie, when I didn't finish the paintings with just gouache, but I never ever use just one medium, ever. I can't even, unless I'm sketching with just a colored pencil, I don't know any time that I only ever use one medium, and I haven't since, like, maybe ever. Even when I knew what the term meant, I have always called myself a mixed media artist. Like, I have a cart full of my art supplies that I can roll anywhere in the house that I happen to be drawing or using them, and I just reach for anything that'll help me. And luckily, too, most things mix together pretty well, I've found. Or maybe I just know what won't mix together well. So these paintings kind of have a base of gouache, and then they have details on top with different acrylic markers that I own. And then on top of that, I'm going to finish it off with some colored pencils. Right now, I really prefer my Ohuhu colored pencils that I reviewed in a previous video. I really love them because they don't snap or break while I'm drawing, which was something that I had a problem with my Prismacolor ones, but they are also quite a bit harder to layer on top of like glossy materials like acrylic marker or dried gouache paint. So I couldn't get as many details with them as I would have liked to have. I think that with a pencil, I would really like to really get into the nitty-gritty of the details, which maybe I shouldn't have done anyway, since both of the paintings are supposed to be like a little bit more abstract. But you know, that's a beautiful way of saying that they didn't turn out the way I wanted them to, so therefore they were meant to be abstract. Okay. These are abstract renditions of what I wanted this to look like, okay? But I was able to get some pencil in there with the Ohuhu ones. I could have switched to the Prismacolor ones, but I just am really preferring these right now, so I just decided to go over the same spot multiple times to get the color in instead. I mostly used them on the geese because I didn't like how plain white they were. I wanted to add a little bit of shading in them. I don't think you can totally tell in the video because I added it really lightly. I added some purple shading to them, and I didn't want to go too dark because I, didn't want them to kind of blend in with the mess of lavender. The only thing I regret is I would have really liked to get more of a pencil texture on top just because I really love the way that looks, but the gouache and the acrylic markers just don't do great with the pencil on top. So I feel like other people do draw with colored pencil on top of their gouache paintings quite a bit though. So maybe I'll look into that some more. Maybe they use Prismacolors, or which I do have some, so I could do, or I'm not sure exactly. Maybe it's not pencil like I think it is, but I really like the look of when people do cross-hatching on top of paintings. I don't know why. I think I just really like the look of texture of different kinds of materials in any kind of piece you can do. So I think that's something I'll look into next time, see what other things I can layer on the gouache, because I think you will be seeing these again. Alright guys, well that is it from me today. I hope that you enjoyed watching me learn something new and ramble about nothingness. I really enjoy filming these videos and I enjoy drawing for you guys, and I am glad that I'm able to do so again. So, alright guys, if you liked watching this video or you liked listening to me talk, like and subscribe. Alright, bye guys.